You to tell us how old you are, but I do know. It's more than me.
It's just a number.
We'd like to thank the Central Oklahoma Mopar Association for doing a great job hosting our Cruising for Coffee through the fall and winter. The association will host the February and March meetings before turning things back over to Midwest City Convention and Visitors Bureau for the spring and summer. The February and March events both fall on Saturday, the 19th. All car enthusiasts are invited to participate from 8 to 11 a.m. at the Santa Fe Cattle Company on Southeast 29th in Sooner Town Center. Tickets will go on sale February 26th for the Mommy and Son Movie Day. This event will give moms and sons an opportunity to take part in fun activities in the Nick Harris Community Center. Mommy and Son Movie Day takes place on March 26th from 1 to 6 p.m. Find all the details on our community calendar at midwestcityok.org. Thanks to our generous employees and council here at the city, we're able to supply food and gifts to 13 families, included 42 children in need during the holidays, and our Neighborhood Services Department coordinated our annual food drive, raising around $30,000 and assisting 150 families with food, including supplying food to the Autumn House and Midwest City Schools food pantries. So good job, everybody, on that. VITA, that's the Midwest City Neighborhoods in Action Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, will begin Tuesday, February 1st, and will operate on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. through Thursday, April 14th. The VITA program prepares free state and federal income tax returns at the Midwest City Community Center. To make an appointment, please call 405-739-1239, 405-739-1239 between noon and 5 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Career training grants. The Midwest City Grants Management Office is accepting applications for career training grants available to Midwest City residents that are currently unemployed or underemployed due to COVID-19. Applicants must be income qualified, over the age 18, and seeking a degree, certificate, or entering an approved training program. Interested residents may contact the Grants Management Office at 405-739-1216, 405-739-1216, or by email at grantsmanagement@midwestcityok.org. I'd like to provide our sales tax report for the month of January. Got a very good sales tax report. We were up about $408,000 for sales and use tax. That is roughly, compared to last year, same time, was 10.08%. For the year, we were up $1,599,037, 5.8%. And then versus our projection, which is what we all budget our departments on, we are up $664,000 for the month and $4.1 million, 16.6% for the year. So great job, Midwest City residents, and shopping local and visiting our power centers. So thank you for that. And finally, I'm going to turn it over to SB in just a second. She has some announcements, but I want to do a quick thank you to Vaughn Sullivan, our Assistant City Manager, for covering for me for the last week. So thank you, Vaughn. Appreciate it.
Good evening, Council. Tonight I have a couple of announcements. The Oklahoma Department of Human Services has COVID-19 vaccines for homebound. So if you know someone that's homebound, there's a number and a website that they can go to. They can contact the DHS and get those people that need those COVID vaccines. They don't have to leave their house. The other one is, if you haven't noticed, the U.S. Postal Service.com, you can get a free at-home COVID test, up to 4 per family per household. You just go on that online, fill out the information, and submit it, and you get a confirmation back of when they will go out at the end of this month. The other announcement I have is we have a new church coming to our community. It's New Hope Baptist Church. They're a 92-year-old church, and they're one church but two locations. And so they're gonna have a celebration on Sunday, the 30th, and they're inviting people out that's in Midwest City to come and join them for that celebration. It's at 3 o'clock. The address is 320 North Midwest Boulevard in Midwest City, Oklahoma, the former home of the Midwest Boulevard Christian Church. So hope to see you guys there.
Thank you, Espy.
You're welcome.
Any other announcements or anything for the good of the council? Okay, hearing none. We've got a bunch of retirees in the back of the room. I did the quick math, and yes, I did graduate from Midwest City. I think. We're retiring about 200 years of experience tonight from our police and fire department. And I've worked with every one of these guys over the years. I trained a couple, I think, and they did okay. But anyway, it's sad, but they're going into a new stage in their lives, and it's a well-deserved rest. So with that being said, Mr. Lyon, we're going to have to share this. Jeffrey Harbin, come on down, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jeffrey Harbin. He retired out of the United States Navy and then decided to become a Midwest City police officer. And he's been with us 20 years. He was one of our canine handlers and served us well. It's sad to see you go, Jeff, but I understand. So, that being said, whereas Sergeant Jeffrey Harbin began his career with the Midwest City Police Department in March of 2001 as a reserve officer and became full-time police officer in November of 2001, promoting to sergeant in 2006 and retiring in June of 2022. Sergeant Harbin is a dedicated professional, passionate about education and saving lives, evidenced by his accomplishment by his advanced cleat certification in 2014, training many canine officers in Oklahoma due to his experience as a canine, with his efforts resulting in thousands of dangerous drugs or narcotics being taken off the street of Midwest City during his career. Whereas he was selected as officer of the third term in 2013, the letters of appreciation and accolades speak to his ability to remain calm and neutral, treating everybody with equality and respect. And with his quick and accurate decision-making, many lives have been saved. Therefore, I'm Matthew Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim January 25th as Jeffrey Harbin Day in the city of Midwest City, and I would ask all of you to express your appreciation for his service.
So this is from the city in special recognition of Jeffrey Harbin for a loyal and dedicated service to the citizens of the city of Midwest City, Oklahoma, November 21st, 2001 through June 8th, 2022. Congratulations. Thanks for your service. Appreciate it. Chief.
Jeff, can you hear me? Oh, just talk on this one. This is a very small token of our appreciation to Sergeant Jeff Harbin. This award is presented by appreciation for your continuous dedication to the goals and objectives of the Midwest City Police Department, November 2001 to April 2022. Congratulations on your retirement. And not only did Jeff serve 20 years for the citizen, he also served 20 years in the Navy. So this country and this city owes him a dedication, a lot of gratitude for everything he's done. Thank you.
put a new microphone in the budget this year. Oh, wow. Archie. This will be a hoot, I'll guarantee you. Yeah, I saw that.
Hug it in, baby.
He said he was going to do that, so. You just got to know Archie. All right. Archie and I worked together a lot. A lot. I was his supervisor. That's why I don't have a lot of hair left. No, Archie is a great police officer. We're going to miss him. He's done a lot for the city in the background, refurbishing some of our buildings and doing stuff that he's an expert in. So, whereas Sergeant Archie Houston began his career with the Midwest City Police Department in October 1988
88, baby.
as a jailer and was promoted to police officer in 1990, a corporal in 1994, and sergeant in 2008, and is retiring as a detective January 2022. Whereas he maintained all training files, managed firearms range, investigated many cases during his years as detective, and charges being filed on suspects to include homicide and other charges. Whereas Sergeant Houston has been instrumental in the success of the gang task force, being an establishing member as well as the investigation unit, which he is responsible for taking many drug dealers off the street, making our communities safer over the years. Whereas he was the recipient of the United States Air Force Certificate of Appreciation in 2013 Community Service Award, and many letters of gratitude from the residents and victims was found in Sergeant Houston's file, including the letter of reprimand.
Just one. Just one.
I couldn't help it.
It was broken.
I couldn't help
It was
it.
broken, baby.
Now I lost my place.
It happens when you're old.
Sergeant Houston's personnel file. His professional manners, reassuring attitude, and comforting words during difficult situations, which has led to positive outcomes, such as incarcerated people turning their lives around through sobriety efforts. Whereas he's also known for his general personnel contribution to many of the police officers and departments, remodeling projects, and thank you.
In your house.
Am I? And giving his time and resources to do so. Therefore, I, Matthew Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim January 26th.
Not April 1st?
No.
Okay.
You want it April 1st?
That'd be nice.
We can change it. January 26th is Archie Houston Day, and request that the citizens of Midwest City show your appreciation and respect of his long tenured service.
Mine look good in that picture?
All right, Archie.
How you doing, Timo?
I'm good, man.
Good.
They can't fire you.
I know,
I
right?
know.
You tried, but you couldn't do it, baby.
So many things I could say.
Oh, I know, right?
Special recognition of Archie Houston Jr. for loyal and dedicated service to the citizens of the city of Midwest City, October 18th, 1988 through January 31st, 2022. It's a long time.
It is.
Appreciate your service, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care.
You too, brother.
I think everybody can hear me. This is presented to Archie Houston. This award is presented in appreciation for your continuous dedication to the goals and objectives of the Midwest City Police Department, June 1st, 1988 to January 19th, 2022. Congratulations on your retirement.
Timothy is a Del City Eagle. We forgive him for that. What ball game did you lose?
Midwest City, so Tyson, one of the best players they ever had.
Tim and I also go way back. We trained together and worked together for many years, and his retirement's well deserved. So, Sergeant Timothy Blanton began his career with the Midwest City Police Department August of 1985. Dadgum. As a jailer, and was promoted to a police officer in 1992. Corporal later in 1992, and sergeant in 2008, retiring as a detective in 2022. Whereas the time Sergeant Blanton was a jailer, he exhibited professional attitude and the clarity of mind to react and diffuse many situations or dangerous situations, and proved over time that he was selected as a crisis negotiator in 2001. Whereas he served many years on the SWAT team and has always gone above and beyond to ensure the safety of the victim, and as providing critical help at the scene of an accident while off duty, and most notably bringing justice to crimes against children and women through painstaking, meticulous investigative work. Whereas Sergeant Blanton is the recipient of the 2008 Police Department Chief Accommodation, 2008 Police Department Unit Citation, and outstanding efforts for his hard work. Officer of the second term, 2009, Officer of the Year in 2009, and Officer of the second term in 2011. So therefore, I, Matt Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim January 27th as Timothy Blanton Day, and ask all the citizens to show your appreciation to his dedicated service to our community.
Thank you, Tim. How are you doing?
Good, sir.
Apparently, it's the best name I know. Go ahead.
It's a good name, isn't
It
it?
is.
So in special recognition of Timothy Blanton for loyal and dedicated service to the citizens of the city of Midwest City, August 16th, 1985. Wow.
No, wow.
Through January 19th, 2022. So with that, we appreciate your service and appreciate your service in our community with the school board
Thank you.
and everything you and your wife has done for the city. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
appreciate it.
Last but not least, hey, he won a lot of football games with that foot too. They just remember the one he lost. This to Tim Blanton. This award is presented in appreciation for your continuous dedication to the goals and objectives of the Midwest City Police Department, August 16th, 1985 to January 19th, 2022. Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you. I love you.
Major Herring. Now it's the fire department's turn. The Herring family has a long history of service to this community. His dad, him, both of his sons, one a fireman, one a police officer, and that just goes to show the upbringing your boys have had and the example that you provided to your boys. And I want to thank you for that. Your legacy will live on. So whereas Major Michael Herron began his career at the Midwest City Fire Department in July of 1996 as a firefighter, promoting to apparatus operator in 2004, lieutenant in 2009, captain in 2012, and major in 2014, and is retiring in 2021. Whereas Major Herron has dedicated his career to helping others and going above and beyond to provide care and follow-up to victims, such as securing wheelchair for a resident on his own initiative. Whereas he's always been willing to assist with the building projects to save the city and department money, from crafting truck cabs and to building an outshed and remodeling Station 2. Whereas Major Herron has received several letters of appreciation for his leadership, hard work, professionalism during training and community-related events, as well as his diligence and coordination as chairperson of the Wellness Committee. Whereas he received a merit award for his heroic efforts on August 5th, 1999, Employee of the Quarter for the fourth quarter, 2003. Therefore, I'm Matt Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim January 29th as Michael Herron Day, and do ask that citizens of Midwest City show their appreciation and support for his long tenured service to this community.
So in special recognition of Michael Herron for loyal and dedicated service to the citizens of the city of Midwest City, July 11th, 1996 through December 31st, 2021. We very much appreciate your service. We also appreciate the service at the hospital and working on the ambulance service. It's a critical function. We don't always talk about that, but you've worked over there a long time, and you're going to still continue to make sure we're taken care of.
Well, thank you, sir.
So thank you for your service. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Last but not least, Brad Spiva, come on down, buddy. You know, I know all these guys, worked with them. We've developed relationships over the years, and it's going to be sad not to see y'all's face around here anymore. You need to come back, sit in council, bring the popcorn. Whereas Fire Major Kevin Brad Spiva began his career with the City of Midwest City in September 1997 as a firefighter, promoting through the years to Fire Major in 2016 and retiring in November 2021. Whereas Major Spiva has been an amazing asset to the city and fire department, exhibiting through his selfless service and willingness to assist wherever a need arises, and in many times that he has contributed to repairs and installation of fire stations, and even utilizing his own equipment and resources, as well as partnering with community entities like the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education, Multimedia Cablevision, and community-based projects. Whereas he has several letters of appreciation and commendation for his assistance to police officers during crisis, empathy, and respectful professionalism toward victims and their families over the years. So therefore, I'm Matt Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim December 16th, we're a little late. Roll your clock back a little bit. As Major Brad Spiva Day, and do hereby proclaim, regardless of the date, to express your appreciation to his contribution to our fine community.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Good to see you. So, in special recognition of Kevin Brad Spiva for loyal and dedicated service to the citizens of the city of Midwest City, September 4th, 1997 through September 30th, 2021. This is our city recognition. We're going to miss Brad. We're going to miss his leadership. We're going to miss his example in that department, and truly mean that. So, congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, could you stand once again and give your appreciation to these fine men that are dedicated their service to our community? He tried. Do I get 5 days off? No. All right. You know, we have some of the finest employees in the state of Oklahoma, and you don't get any finer than those gentlemen that just left here. They're 100% dedicated to our community and never wavered through all the difficulties we lived through, and they're going to be sorely missed. They truly are. Now, we do have a bunch of new guys coming in. They've got a high bar to hurdle to come up to the standards that those men left in this community. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we move into the consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so that the trustees, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any trustee requests an item to be discussed, an item will be pulled and heard in regular order. With that being said, Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We move into discussion items of our agenda. Mr. Lyons.
Discussion item.
Discussion item one.
Discussion item one, discussion consideration award the sale of the $5,700,000 City of Midwest City General Obligation Bonds 2022 to the lowest bidder. Sarah? John, do you want to?
Sure, John Weidman, Chris Gander with BOK Financial. John Weidman, I'm the bond lawyer. We had a sale this morning. Chris can give you the details, but there were two bidders. The lowest bidder was a bid of 1.82%.
What had we priced that hoping going into it?
Pardon?
What were we hoping to get when we went into it?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, Chris can answer that. Remember, this, did we say this is for the police and fire training facility? I'm sorry if I didn't. That was the revenue bond we went out for, a 15-year bond. So, go ahead.
We would have been happy anywhere under 2%. I mean, rates have moved a whole lot. I mean, if you watch the 10-year Treasury, I mean, they're up 25 basis points probably since we were here authorizing the sale about a month ago. So even at the 202, I would have said we've been pretty happy with that rate. So the fact that we got a 182, which was our best bid, very pleased with that. So we're obviously recommending you guys approve the bonds to Piper at the 1.82%.
Does anybody have any questions, Mr. Weidman or Chris?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I will need a roll call vote on this item. Ms. City Clerk.
Ward 2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
Yes.
6.
Aye.
Mayor,
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. Discussion item number 2, Mr. Lyons.
Discussion consideration for adoption, including any possible amendment or revision of an ordinance providing for the issuance of general obligation bonds in the sum of $5,700,000 by the City of Midwest City, Oklahoma, authorized at an election duly called and held for such purpose, prescribing forms of bonds, providing for registration thereof, providing for a system of registration for uncertified registered public obligations, providing a levy of an annual tax for payment of principal and interest on the same, fixing other details of the issue, and declaring an emergency.
Chair to entertain a motion to approve the ordinance, and I also need a second motion to declare an emergency. Roll call votes will be required on both. Does anybody have any questions? Chair to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Ward 2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
Yes.
6.
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes. Also, I would need a motion to declare an emergency.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. City Clerk.
Ward 2,
Yes.
3, 4,
Yes.
5,
Yes.
6, Mayor.
Yes. All right, discussion item number 3, Mr. Lyons.
CA 81, discussion, consideration, including any amendment thereto, an appeal by G&S Sign Services to Section 9-385X, which prohibits off-premise advertising from all zoning districts except industrial for the property addressed as 301 North Midwest Boulevard, AKA part of the southeast quarter, Section 34, Township 12 North, Range 02 West, the Indian Meridian, Oklahoma County. Mr. Harless, Mr. Coleman.
Thanks, Mr. Lyon. Yes, if you'll remember, approximately a year ago, we brought through a sign package for the hospital, and since that time, the authority has acquired the Chase Bank and demoed it because it was blighted. And this is an application for another sign that would be put on that property. So I'll be glad to answer any questions at this time.
Any question?
This is a,
This
that's
is,
it.
this is not just a rebranding, it's a directional sign too. It's gonna give people directions to the hospital emergency room, correct?
Yes, sir.
I think that's
Yeah,
important.
this is an SSM entrance sign to the medical district, so.
So it's just not branding, and advertisement, it's actually giving people directions to the hospital.
Yes, it's a very good point. Thank you.
This will be at where the Chase Bank was. It's been taken down recently on that corner.
Well, I think, and the reason I made that point is it's actually, you know, it's a different issue of just an advertisement versus giving some information on an emergency.
Yeah, wayfaring to the,
Correct.
to the emergency room.
I am notoriously against any kind of variances. This is one that I'm okay with because it is not advertising, it is directional, and it does point people in the proper direction.
Any other discussion for clarification? Hearing none, Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to, second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Next item, Mr. Lyon.
Item 4, PC 2102, discussion and consideration of adoption, including any possible amendment of the proposed preliminary plat of Parkway prescribed as a part of the Southwest Quarter, Section 7, Township 11 North, Range 1 West, addressed as 10301 Southeast 29th Street. Mr. Harless.
Yes, thanks again, Mr. Lyon. In April of 2021, the City Council approved an ordinance to rezone a portion of this property to RMH2 to allow for additional mobile homes to be placed on the property in the future. The zoning was approved contingent upon the applicant submitting a plat application with the site development plan and drainage plan prior to expanding. This application does include a drainage plan, which is further discussed in the engineering portion of this report. The applicant has also submitted a tree canopy management plan. This plat does include all required easements and rights-of-way. The drives within the existing development are private and will remain so with any expansion. Tie-on to public water system and the installation of a sidewalk along the frontage will be required. Action is, of course, at the discretion of the council, but it meets the requirements for a preliminary plat. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
So, Mr. Tomlinson, you signed up to speak to the council on this particular item?
Yes, sir, I did. I just wanted to say that I've had meetings with the owners or representative of the owners and also the people that are coming up with the plans for the building project. And they seem to be very receptive to every recommendation that I've made. And in fact, they've gone, I think, way overboard in a lot of aspects because in all the years that I've lived at my address, there's not one owner that's ever been the north side of that berm to take any responsibility for anything. And these folks want to do the Canopy project, and they also want to do control of the water flow. And I have nothing bad to say against them. And I've talked to all the other neighbors in the area, and their major concern was that the berms stay in place, and that's going to happen. And so I think I'm all for it. I mean, it's going to be a change, but, you know, change is inevitable. So I'm all for it. I just wanted to give my 2 cents, and thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tomlinson, for coming tonight. And congratulations to the developers. I know they're here tonight for working with the residents around there and bringing this to fruition. That being said, is there any other questions of Mr. Harless?
I do have an additional comment. I would like to thank staff, Brandon Bundy from Community Development, and then also Public Works, Patrick Menifee, because this was a pretty complicated deal, and they worked, as you heard, to work with them. So I just want to give a heads up to them.
Thank you, Mr. Harless. Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Item number 5.
TS 445, discussion and consideration of adoption, including any possible amendment of accepting the updated traffic signal study and analysis for the intersection of Southeast 15th and Windsong Drive, and approving the Traffic and Safety Commission's recommendation of denial for a signal installation. Mr. Menifee.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, Council, if you recall, last year, we had the Windsong residents approach the Horseshoe and asked to investigate the possibility of putting a signal up at 15th and Windsong. Staff pursued that information. We had a traffic study done. We brought it forward, had some additional information as far as speed and some other factors. There's comments from PD in the study as well. At this time, it does not meet those warrants for a signal and a federal subsidy, but actions is discretion of the council. I'll answer any questions.
Any questions?
I would like to say that as development occurs, if there's in that area, large developments in that area, we will not forget this item. We will try to stay on top of it. Thank you, Councilman.
No other questions of Mr. Menifee. Chair to entertain a motion. And motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Next item.
Discussion and consideration for adoption, including any possible amendment of a resolution formally appointing representation of the Midwest City Local Development Act Review Committee from all entities that received ad valorem tax collections from the vicinity of Northeast 23rd and Northeast 36th, including Soldier Creek Industrial Park. Mr. Coleman.
Good evening. This is just a formal appointment of all the taxing entities that we hope will participate in the Northside Improvement District. As you all know, we have 2 sizable, viable economic prospects in the area, and we hope to be able to reimburse ourselves for some of the incentives that we're putting into the district, as well as pay for some future improvements to help with those campuses. This is a state required, these appointments are state required by the Local Development Act, but I'll review it, or I'll try to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions of Mr. Coleman? Hearing none, Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
A
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Next item.
Item number 7, discussion and consideration of appointing one qualified elector residing in Oklahoma County to represent the City of Midwest City on the Board of Directors of the Central Oklahoma Master Conservancy District, COMCD, for the remaining term of Casey Hurt, and submitting the names to the Cleveland County District Judge, who will appoint them to membership on the Board of Directors of the COMCD. Mr. Streets.
Honorable Mayor and Council, City Manager, I would entertain any questions you might have about the appointment. In this particular case, we have a very qualified applicant who did previously work for the City of Midwest City and does have vast experience, understands the operations, the importance of that water, the infrastructure that brings it to the city, and obviously the commitment by the city to provide not only safe, but the very best drinking water to our customers. So I feel very confident, I feel very confident that Dr. Dave Ballou will do a good job filling in for the remainder of Casey's term. We're sad to see Casey go. He's actually taking another job in South Carolina. Fantastic asset to our community on a couple of different boards. But he's glad to get an opportunity to try a different thing in his life, go on to a new chapter. and Dr. Dave is willing to stand in the gap.
I hate that we're losing Casey because he is great, but I am ecstatic about David Liu.
This is a really important committee that probably goes unnoticed because with the advancement, you all know what's coming with the water, and Thunderbird's down a lot. So it's critical that we have somebody at the caliber of Dr. Ballou watching over that, because there's other things coming down the road that I feel really, since I'm involved in the other thing coming down the road, I'm really happy that there's somebody on the front end watching it. And with that, I recommend his approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 8, discussion consideration for adoption, including any amendments of an ordinance amending the Midwest City Municipal Code, Chapter 9, Buildings and Building Regulations, Article 1, in general, Section 9-2, dilapidated buildings, providing for repealer, severability, and declaring an emergency. Mr. Maish.
Good evening. As the code enforcement was working through our dilapidated building project, they found certain discrepancies between our city ordinance and the procedures we were working under and state statute. What these changes do is bring our city ordinance in compliance with state statute. Also within here, we found that there is a procedure for boarded or unattended buildings, and we made that procedure identical to dilapidated buildings as it is under state statute as well. I would be happy to entertain any questions.
Don, does the 10 days give the mortgage holder enough time to answer, or do they have to be notified in 10 days, or is there any restrictions on time, do you recall?
The 10 days is what is set by statute, and so we followed what state law gives. So that was obviously debated by the Oklahoma legislature, and they set that time at 10 days. So our procedure just mirrors what state statute has.
Okay. However, we get into some of these, if you remember, we will amend that time on the horseshoe.
We do have the ability to do that. That is meeting state statutory minimum requirements. We can go beyond that if we choose, and we can do that on a case-by-case basis if we need to, depending on the facts of that individual situation.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion or questions? Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
A motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We do have an emergency attached to this, and I would need a motion to approve the emergency.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Lyon.
This is an addendum, number 9, PC 2099, public hearing with discussion and consideration for adoption, including any possible amendment of an ordinance to redistrict from C3 community commercial and R6 single-family residential to PUD plan unit development governed by the RMD medium-density residential, and a resolution to amend the comprehensive plan from LDR low-density residential and OR office residential to MDR medium-density residential for the property described as part of the southwest quarter of Section 34, Township 12 North, Range 2 West, located at 2905 and 2913 North Glen Haven Drive and 198 and 208 Marlowe Drive. Mr. Harless.
Yes, thanks again, Mr. Lyon. Since this was an addendum to the agenda and stuff, this is, as you all are familiar with it, off of Glen Haven Drive, the development. We didn't have a chance to really make a staff report on this, but we did note that there was a reduction by the applicant from 100 maximum units down to 80. Other than that, there was some studies and stuff that were submitted with this that they're included in your packet for review, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. And the applicant is here also to answer any questions.
It's a public hearing.
This is a public hearing, and Mr. Thompson, you signed up for this particular issue?
Thanks, folks.
Mr. Thompson?
My
could
name
you-
is Mark Thompson, 212 Country Club Boulevard or Country Club Terrace, I'm sorry, in Midwest City.
Yes, sir.
And I'm speaking in opposition to this. And on behalf of at least a dozen people that I've talked to tonight, we resent very much it being put in at the last minute with very little notice. Most of the people that I talk to are older and they take a little bit of time to get around, but our opinion has not changed. If any change in the zoning on this particular piece of property needs to be made, it should be that the entire thing should be R3, single-family residence, not that we should have medium density or high density there. That's the change we're requesting. And he can build all the single-family residences he wants on that plot, and that would be fine. Sean, this is your ward. I would challenge you to find enough people that actually live in the ward right now to balance the 20 that we had here speaking against this less than a month ago, and who, many of them who would be here tonight had they been given adequate time to prepare. I don't believe that you're doing an adequate job to represent your ward. I think you're representing other interests ahead of the people that actually live there, and that's a problem. The rest of you, you have to vote your consciences if you think this is a good thing for Midwest City. I cannot see how it is in any regard. I could go into the details, but the problem here, just as you outlined this, is that absolutely none of the issues that we brought up at the last meeting have been addressed. We were going to do a study to see what we're going to do about the increased possible drainage issues and the fact that water might run off into the other neighborhoods. We're going to do a traffic study to see if that would be a problem on Glen Haven. We didn't do any of that. None of the other neighbors have been addressed. None of the neighbors have been approached and offered any kind of explanation about that. It just comes up for a vote again. And that's just, in my mind, unacceptable. So if you want to take the responsibility for pushing through something like this, which obviously has some resistance in the neighborhood, then go ahead. That's your right, and that's what we elect you for.
Were you at the neighborhood meeting that Matt was at a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Right.
But you weren't.
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Did you have any questions about it that I could answer?
I just had some questions. Matt said, at least I understood, that most of the folks that left were understanding and pretty much on board with this.
Pretty much on board with this.
I'll ask Matt to.
Yes, sir. If you remember, we discussed, you got all the concessions that you were asking for, the reduced density, the no on-street parking, the single family facing Glen Haven, the traffic study has been done.
What are the results of the traffic study? Well, I haven't seen it.
I was under the impression that, and I told you guys you won, and
you considered it a win from dropping from 100 units to 80 units. I did not consider that a win. Because
well, you certainly didn't voice any opposition at the meeting.
Well, it wasn't the appropriate forum.
Well, irregardless, I told you guys before that this is just a rezoning. The next step that comes is the plat. Okay. And if anything changes in the plat that the developer has agreed to, it's not going to go anywhere.
I understand, but I'm here to object to the rezoning.
And your objection?
I believe the rezoning is unnecessary.
Thank you.
I'd like to address the statement he said that we haven't done anything to correct or work on issues that you all brought up last time. And that's really not an accurate statement. If I remember, you're correct. And if you've followed the 6 years I've been on the council, drainage is at the top of everything I look at is the drainage. And I want to note that this is not required by the developer, and I'm not friends with the developer. but the developer has agreed that he will tie in a detention pond into the underground storm sewer approximately 230 feet, linear feet to the north. That's at his expense. And from what I understand, it's gonna be upwards of $40,000 for him to fix that.
But is that adequate to solve the
Well,
problem?
okay,
That's what studies are for.
Well, that's what I'm bringing up to you. That's what he's agreed to. As part of the plats coming forward, the engineer is gonna have to, his engineer is gonna have to show how it's gonna work. Our engineer is gonna be trust me, they will be watching it very closely to make sure that what he's gonna do or what he's proposing is gonna work. If it's not gonna work, then it's gonna get stopped. The second issue that got brought up that night was the traffic. And there is a traffic report in the packet. Grant you probably didn't get an opportunity to read it because it's long. It's a lot of technical stuff. But the most important thing from what I heard that night was people were more concerned about the traffic light than the traffic per se, because probably maybe 90 or maybe 95% of the people that would live in this development are gonna go south out onto Reno. And what I have here is a report from the city's traffic engineer about what's going on at Glen Haven and Reno. It's part of an ongoing signal upgrade project. They have installed flashing yellow lights so that you can go left in the eastbound or westbound lanes on Reno, where you don't have to sit out in the middle of the street. And they're changing lights all over Midwest City for that. The northbound Crest and the southbound Glen Haven are not going to change heads since they've already had permissive lefts, which is the flashing yellow light. They're also going to, that should improve the people wanting to turn left on Reno into either Crest or the Ridgewood addition, which is one of the biggest complaints that we heard that night. They're also installing new crosswalks, ramps, and buttons to facilitate better pedestrian traffic. So, we did listen. Maybe you don't think we listened to everything, but we did listen to what y'all had to say. And like I said, if you've listened to me at all for 6 years, I know I don't represent your ward, but I don't consider my ward the only one I represent. I represent the entire city. And trust me, drainage. I have been on top of it since day one. I believe with the efforts that they've made can work. If it doesn't work, we're gonna know about it because our engineer is gonna catch it, because they have their engineer sitting right out there, and he's gonna have to work with our engineer. If it doesn't work, the project will get shut down. Is that not correct, Patrick? And Brandon?
And Pat, I appreciate that, but I'm just a reminder, if it doesn't work, it's still been rezoned.
Well, the problem is if it
Why
stays
don't
the
you
way it's,
make
if
the
the place
do the
it's,
study first before you rezone it? so
that's
that
not
you-
the way, that's not the way it works.
Okay.
You can't
Yeah.
tell somebody, go spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to engineer something, and then it doesn't work. This is the process that has to go through. So
And
that's.
Mr. Thompson, trust me on this. If in fact, anything that comes to us as a PUD that doesn't include all the things that they agreed upon, it will not get past this council.
All right. I'll just say it one more time. Single-family residences are what made Midwest City the city that it is.
Yes, sir.
In this report, there are probably 20 applications for duplexes. You just talked and approved an addition of a whole bunch of more mobile homes. And now you're gonna, give this guy some more
Actually, it wasn't,
medium density condominiums.
The additional lots in Parkway Mobile Home Park was nominal.
But the point is, there wasn't a single-family residence being built. That's the message that you're sending. Midwest City is no
There are
longer a
multiple single-family
residence.
residences that are being built on the street that fronts where the apartment complex is, so that's an incorrect statement. The
What is?
duplexes are in the back. There are single-family residences that are being built on the very frontage of this.
That's
So-
because it's zoned single-family
Okay,
residence
but I'm telling
now.
you, your comment was none of them are being built. They are being built. Single-family residences are being built. And one of the things in the city that we also have to look at is not everybody can afford a house. Some people need to live in a mobile home park. Some people need to live in a duplex. We have to make a city that is accessible for all.
That logic
Not
just
just
won't fly. Some
accessible for
people
those
need
who
to
can buy a house.
live in jails, but we don't need to build jails in the middle of
I think that you
Ridgecrest.
equating somebody living in a duplex to somebody in a jail is offensive to people who have duplexes, sir.
That's your opinion. It's
Well,
not
it's
mine.
probably a
All
lot
right.
of other people's opinion right
But
here
I'm-
when you
I'm
equate
talking
those
about
people
your
like that.
logic.
Mr.
not the,
Thompson,
uh,
Mr. Thompson, we've heard your
I understand.
concerns. We appreciate your attention to this detail,
I can
and
see
we'll
it
be
at
in,
least.
we'll be in contact. Mr. Box, do you have anything to add to?
Sorry to do your work for you.
David Box, 522 Colcord Drive. Not necessarily anything to add, but there were, the studies you referenced, the things that we talked about last time were traffic, sanitary sewer in terms of capacity, and drainage. We have done several studies that were time-consuming and very costly. I have Todd Butler, who is a traffic engineer with TEC, here to answer any questions that the council may have, as well as Mark Grubbs to address any questions related to sanitary sewer or drainage. As you indicated, Councilman, we are tying into the storm sewer, which is, of course goes above and beyond what the ordinance says requires. So we are confident on our side that we will meet or exceed all your ordinance requirements. We have made the changes to the PUD document that were referenced last time, that being the 80 unit limit, no parking on Glenhaven, and Tract 1 has to take access to Glenhaven. That document has been modified, resubmitted to your staff. Again, all of the traffic study, drainage study, and the sanitary sewer study have been submitted to staff. We're ready to answer any questions that the council may have.
The only thing that I want to note is, I read through the PUD, and I don't see where the connecting the underground storm sewer is actually in the PUD. It's in a document that Mr. Grubbs sent offline. So we need to make sure that that's included in the, I just want to bring that up.
We can do that, yes, sir.
Are there any questions from Mr. Box? Mr. Grubb, do you have anything to add?
Billy, could you, just so before we make this motion, I want to make sure that in the PUD, they agree to less than 80 units, that there's no on-street parking allowed. Is that correct? That's in the
Yeah, I
PUD.
think it needs to make that as part of your motion so that it's
Is it documented in the PUD, or? I think it is.
the 80 units definitely
And the
is.
single-family place in Glenhaven is in the PUD. In the drainage issues, the only thing that wasn't directly in the PUD is the drainage issues with them tying into the sewer. So we need to make that as in the motion, do we need to
And yeah,
address?
and if we can have that reflected in the minutes, that would be very helpful, so when it comes back up in the.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we approve this based on what the PUD also with the addition that the applicant agrees to tie the detention pond outlet into the underground storm sewer, which is approximately 230 linear feet to the north at his expense,
And all the other staff comments and everything
and
else.
based on the rest of the staff comments.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you, Billy. Item number 10, Mr. Lyon.
Discussion and consideration for adoption, including any possible amendment of the American Recovery Plan Act list of projects and projected costs of $9,858,239. This is, as previously discussed with council, that this is our ARPA money allocation. It is, we have half of that money now. We'll get the other half within the year. We went through about $30 million worth of projects as a staff and looked at and narrowed it down with as many city funds that we could and grant funds to stretch these projects as far as we could. These are the 8 projects that we recommend, most of which have an impact on economic development and for future growth in our city. Take care of Sooner Roads is number 1. We have significant wastewater issues in the Sooner Roads development that need corrected, that were not corrected when we originally built that thing. So anyway, if there's any questions about any of these, I'd be glad to answer any questions from the council.
Any questions? Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll move into the new business public discussion of our agenda. This is your chance to come before council, but be fully aware that since it's not an agenda item, we cannot engage in any lengthy conversation with you at all. Does anyone have anything to bring before the council? Hearing or seeing none, we do have an executive session attached to this agenda. Mr. Lyon.
Discussion consideration of one entering into executive session is allowed under Title 25, Section 307B4 to discuss confidential communications between a public body and its attorney concerning a pending investigation, claim, or action if the public body, with the advice of its attorney, determines that disclosure will seriously impair the ability of the public body to process the claim or conduct a pending investigation, litigation, or proceeding in the public interest. And two, authorizing the city manager to take action as appropriate based on discussion.
For timeliness' sake, Chair to entertain a motion to recess from.
Second.
I do have a properly formed motion to recess and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. I call to order the Midwest City Municipal Authority. We do have a consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so the trustees, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any trustee requests to discuss an item or unanimous consent is not received, the item will be removed and heard in regular order. Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We move into the new business public discussion of the Midwest City Municipal Authority. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing or seeing none, we are hereby adjourned. I call to order the Midwest City Hospital Authority. We do have a consent agenda, and once again, these items are placed on the consent agenda so trustees can, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any trustee requests to discuss an item or unanimous consent is not received, then the item will be removed and heard in regular order. Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We do have one discussion item. Mr. Lyon.
No action needed, Mayor.
No action needed on the discussion item. We move into the new business public discussion. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing or seeing none, we are hereby adjourned.
We have an executive
executive
session.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do have an executive session attached to this agenda. Mr. Lyon.
Discussion consideration of one entering to executive session is allowed under Title 25, Section 307B4, discuss confidential communications between a public body and its attorney concerning a pending investigation, claim, or action if the public body, with the advice of its attorney, determines that disclosure will seriously impair the ability of the public body to process, claim, or conduct a pending investigation, litigation, or proceeding in the public interest, and authorizing the general manager, administrator to take action as appropriate based on the discussion.
Motion to make to recess.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second to recess. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Call to order the Special Economic Development Authority. We have a consent agenda on this agenda, and I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We move into public discussion, new business. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing or seeing none, once again, we do have an executive session attached to this agenda. Mr. Lyon.
Discussion consideration, including amendments of entering into an executive session allowed under 25 OS 307C11 to confer on matters pertaining to economic development, including the transfer of property, financing, or the creation of a proposal to entice a business to locate within the city into an open session, authorizing the general manager, administrator to take action as appropriate based on the discussion in executive session.
Motion to recess.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to recess. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Call to order the Economic Development Commission. We have 3 discussion items on this agenda.
Item 1, discussion and consideration for adoption, including possible amendment of the October 26, 2021 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Item number 2.
Review of the Midwest City Chamber of Commerce's quarterly activity report for the period ending December 31st, 2021. There's no action needed, but this will have a report from our president of the chamber, Ms. Marcy. Did I get it?
Good evening. I know you've been here a while, so I won't keep you a lot longer. But talking about New Hope Baptist Church, I do want to invite you to their ribbon cutting Wednesday at 5 p.m. We are looking forward to working with Pastor TJ. I gave him a very large coffee urn this week that I found while I was digging around in cabinets around the chamber. So I said, enjoy that, my friend. We enjoy bringing you Discover Oklahoma to Brielle's Bistro. I hope you all had a chance to watch that episode. That was a lot of fun, and enjoy showing off what we have in Midwest City anytime possible. The Oklahoma Aerospace Conference, that is quite an undertaking. Made lots of good contacts there. Of course, as we move forward with Tinker and the Primes, and then Randy Harris, our partner from last year, confirmed that he will be with us. As a matter of fact, we started meetings last week about 3 months early on Tinker and the Primes, so we're already rolling ahead on that. And I want to thank our partner, Robert, for his assistance with Brielle's Bistro and moving forward with that remodeling. Can't say enough good things about that man. Despite what you all may say about him, he is amazing and certainly an asset to us all. So I learned a lot about, speaking of Tinker and the Primes, visited with the lady who handled registration for 5 years and who has retired, made that very clear to me. She is done, but she gave me tremendous information, and I feel very comfortable moving forward. Shana Bennett in our office is the project manager for Tinker and the Primes, and I think that conference could not be in better hands than Shana, who knows that building backwards and forwards and is well comfortable with the conference industry. So October was quite a busy month. You all know that organizations from time to time need to review things like bylaws. It's not fun, but it's important. So we undertook that, and I deeply am grateful to Carol Judd and her committee for overhauling that and moving us forward as we prepared for our strategic planning retreat in October. And you know how important those are, as you all do those as well, and different organizations participate in those. So that went well, and it was just a tremendous opportunity for us to get together and focus on the future. We've been having some security issues over at the chamber, so of course now we've added doorbells and keep our doors locked. We are looking at instituting some panic buttons as well. So we will keep an eye on that traffic and continue to watch that. We put up different signs to remind people no trespassing, and of course removed some landscaping so that there wasn't place for people to live or hide behind. So anyway, and we refreshed the logo of the chamber. Now, as you look at this, you probably can't tell the difference, and that's okay. It's just a refresh, but I think you can see the main thing you can read when you see the logo is the same thing you see when you look at the city's logo, and that is Midwest City, because we are all part of Team Midwest City, and we're just one part of the team. So it's been, of course, we ginned up with Leadership Midwest City, got that going, and then Youth Excel, my goodness, that was learning jumping into the fire, wasn't it? But what a glorious 2 days with those young people and inspiring them. But we'll be calling for some assistance next year on that. Finding the job mentoring, the job shadowing is a challenge, but we think once we get past COVID, that will be easier to find those people. So I can't say enough about the Veterans Day Parade and all of our fantastic partners here at the city that make it the largest and the best in the state. I couldn't my heart swelled with pride, and I look forward to working on that every year. And it's just a high point. And a quick tie into that, I'm very excited as we move forward with the official military holiday, the National Canine Veterans Day in March. So looking forward to celebrating that and continuing to focus on, of course, Midwest City where patriotism lives. So, and then, my goodness, that reception Wednesday night before the parade was just, there aren't words, it was so emotional. It just brought everything home. That was beautiful. So I appreciate everything you all did to put that together. And so, of course, working with our partners at Tinker, and then Leadership Midwest City, we have 20 in the class, and then we'll be pulling in the 10 from the COVID year. Bless their hearts, they didn't get to finish, so we'll pull them in for 6 of the sessions. And so I'll be glad to answer any questions as we move forward. It's just going to get busier and busier, and of course invite everyone to our candidates forum on Wednesday, February 2nd. I'll be glad to answer any questions, and I just appreciate your support and your time.
I appreciate you taking the time. It's really nice to have quarterly updates.
One thing I would like, if we can, is get notified, the council get notified whenever they're having ribbon cuttings and stuff. I don't always know about it. I haven't seen them, so if you could send that to Tim, make sure we get those if you can.
Yeah, Jill will, if you'll make a note, Jill will get all the email addresses for the council, their official emails
Okay.
for Ward 1 through 6.
Thank you so much.
Take
Yes,
care of
yes, we will get you all in the loop
Didn't
on
know-
that
didn't
for
know
sure.
that. Sorry.
So you know
Sorry.
about Wednesday, 5 o'clock, New Hope Baptist Church. We're very excited to have them in the community. And I'm excited to work with Pastor Tyson. He's going to be a good force for our community.
Well, I'd also like to mention, like SB did, that at 3 o'clock Sunday, they're actually having, and I think, Matt, I know I've been invited to speak. I
Yes.
think you have also.
Yes.
So just follow me, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll go.
Well,
I'll go
But
first.
yeah, so their open
You're not gonna
houses,
do
but their
damage
big
to the
service is Sunday at 3 o'clock also.
Yes, yes,
So
that's
there's 2 things going on that's really
Mhm.
big with the church that, and I find that this church is, at least I hope, it's gonna be really community involved, and they're gonna be a great
They are.
asset.
Well, you know, speaking of community involved, you know, you have residents, in my mind, you have residents and you have citizens. We need more citizens and fewer residents, because residents just take up space. Citizens actually get involved. And so I invite everyone to come, and if you can't be at the candidates forum, you can watch it on Facebook Live and still get educated and be part of it, and really get part of our community and be a citizen, make a difference.
It's one of the smartest things that anybody said standing up here. We need more citizens and less residents. I appreciate that.
Well, you know, residents pay taxes, and I love that too. But citizens really get involved and make a difference, like you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcy. No actions needed on that particular item. Item number 3.
Review the communications, marketing, CVB quarterly activity reports for the period ending December 31st, 2021. Where's Josh? Josh, are you going to give us a quick report? It's always good to be prepared.
Mayor and council, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for the time limit too, sir. I appreciate that. I will admit to you that I wasn't prepared to give a report, but in my report, and also the report from the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Susan McQuarrie, you'll see some good numbers. You'll see some numbers that show you how support of special events and how special events have grown in Midwest City over the past year. My report kind of reads like I guess a book report of my first 3 quarters with the city of Midwest City. It's been an excellent time, I can tell you that, to see large-scale events that support the community, that actually boost economic growth, I believe, in Midwest City, come back. And some of those include what Marcy was talking about, which was the Veterans Day Parade, but one of our biggest ones was actually an event that was a little bit reduced this year, which was Holiday Light Spectacular. That event saw numbers, despite starting a week later than we normally start and ending a week earlier than we normally end, saw numbers that averaged in the 450 vehicle and 500 vehicle range every single night, even on the slow nights throughout the week. And we saw some really good support from the community. especially with Holiday Lights Spectacular in the form of donations that came in and the way the community responded. They loved having that event back. So we've discussed some changes for next year. Definitely what we want to see come back is a little more time walking through the lights. The community loves walking through those lights, getting a chance to stand in the middle of that roadway, that's something that they've normally had to drive through, and experience those lights surrounding all of them. So we're going to bring back some events next year on a weekly basis where you can walk the lights. And we're going to pick a good night for that, a night that most people wouldn't expect to drive through the lights, so it's convenient for everybody. And I can answer any other questions about events that you experienced with us this year. I'd like to say thank you very much for the support that you gave us. Go ahead, Mr. Reed.
3/4 of a mile, you'll make them walk all the way back, or are you going to trolley them back?
They loved walking the entire thing. Actually, you walk it to and from. So I think everybody likes doing the loop, actually. And it's technically, what they like doing is they'll park in the Century parking area, and they'll start at the gate. So it's pretty much what they're walking through is the Midwest City Soccer Club, for the most part, is that area from gate to gate. That's the part they enjoy. But I would like to thank all of you for your support of your events. I saw your faces, took lots of pictures of you this year as you attended the special events that we had, where we've got a ton of groundbreakings, or not groundbreakings, but grand openings coming up early this year. And we're excited about opening up some of these bond projects to the community. So thank you for your continued support.
Thanks, Josh.
You bet.
Josh, appreciate it.
There's no action needed on that particular report. We now move into the new business public discussion of this agenda. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority or the commission? Hearing or seeing none, we are hereby adjourned. I want to call to order the Midwest City Council and would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in executive session. Thank you for being